welcome back to my studio. This is Emma. It's a beautiful day. It's always a beautiful day. I don't care whether it's raining or it's the sun is shining. It's always a beautiful day. I'm so blessed to be here with you all. It's really lovely to welcome you back to my studio. And if it's your very first time here, thank you very much for joining me here. I hope you'll stick around and we'll have some fun together. So I just wanted to share with you this. Look at the colour of this. This is, to me, autumn in a nutshell. We've harvested and we've dried off now all our squashes that we've grown. And I think if you're growing any kind of vegetables, I think these are just so much fun to grow. When my daughter was small, we used to grow a lot of pumpkins, which are bigger version of this basically. We used to grow them as big as we could get them, and then all the kids would come round and we'd have them all around the kitchen table and we'd be hollowing them out and turning them into lanterns for Halloween. And it was just great. We had such a good time. But then you had to do something with all the innards, so everybody got a bag of pumpkin innards to take home, turn into soup or whatever. But I just love these because these are squashes, and these are kind of they're a meatier kind of vegetable to me than a pumpkin. Pumpkins tend to be rather watery, I think. You may disagree with me. I don't know. This might not be your take on pumpkins and squashes, but I think these are great because these are kind of meaty and they make really tasty soup when you roast them up with garlic and onions. So at the moment we're just enjoying eating these and harvesting. We've harvested them, as I say, and aren't they just a joy? I can't stop looking at them. I just kind of want to draw them and turn them into some kind of artwork because they're such a gorgeous colour and such a beautiful shape with these sort of lovely lines that go around. No wonder people crochet them. I think it's lovely when you see them on the internet, don't you? People make crocheted and knitted pumpkins, and I just think they're a joy. So there we go. Happy fall, happy Halloween, happy whatever, happy end of October. It's half term here, so we're having a bit of a chilled week. My husband is away from school this week, which is really nice, so we're just messing about here. We've got lots of things to do. There's always jobs to do because we've got kind of a little small holding here. We've got animals, as you know. We've got some geese and some chickens. We've got 3 donkeys and we've got a little bit of land, but we have vegetables that we try and grow. You know, nothing really big, nothing very posh, but just, you know, a little bit here and a little bit there. And to be outdoors, and at this time of year it's about sort of clearing up, tidying up a bit, preparing for the winter, and I really love that because it's very wholesome, it's very earthy, it's very real living, if you like. And I think but even if I had a winter box, I used to live in town, in a nearby town, and I've always tried to grow things wherever I've been, whether it's been a hanging basket in the summer on the back wall of a place I used to rent, or I made a little garden wall, little sort of box thing out of some old bricks that I found in the last house we had, and it was tiny, but I filled it full of flowers nonetheless. It's amazing what you can grow in a small space, and I think you just can't beat having your hands in the earth really and just being outdoors. And I've always said this before, I know I've said this before, but having animals to look after is really cool because you have to muck them out, you have to feed them, you have to get them up and get them, you know, put them back to bed at night. It's a real levelling thing, and I think if more people had contact with the earth and more people grew things and had connections with soil and basic things like that, the world would be a better place for it. So anyway, that's my little soapbox for this week. I'm just very lucky to have what I have here, and as I say, I have done it in a much smaller way in the past, but I just have, in fact it's almost more than we can cope with these days because nature just takes over when you're not looking, doesn't she? She just kind of just runs riot when you're not looking. I've got to clean the gutters out next. I'm going to I've got some things to cut back. There's always things to cut back. And I've been chopping things back by our sort of front door area because it was just turning into a jungle basically. Everything was turning to soil wherever I looked, and there was ferns growing where there shouldn't be ferns growing. So I'm moving things and digging things up and having a really good time doing that. So that's if the weather's kind to us this week. That's what I'll be doing. So anyway, where have we got to with all of this? We've done a lot of stuff. We've done some nice samples. I'm really pleased how we've gone from like sketches in a book to actual physical samples, and it's been an exciting journey. And today we're going to be working more with some more of the yellow fabric. I feel as I want to do a bit of dark on light again like we did last week, and we'll just see where that takes us. So let's go over to my table and see where we're at today. Alright, so the next colour I've chosen, haha, really taking these autumn colours to heart at the moment. I'm not necessarily wanting to do things with leaves, but I'm just loving the colours. I'm loving these splodgy marks on them, and I'm loving the shades. So I've taken this yellow, again, a piece of curtain interlining and some stabiliser. And I'm thinking that what I like to work from this time is these lovely ivy shapes, which had these beautiful dark green leaves and then these like explosions at the top, like this, beautiful explosions of the ivy flowers. So I'm just thinking of how I'm going to try and translate this, and I'm looking at sort of other colours to put in with this. I'm thinking, well, do I put the dark blue back in? Do I want a different shade of blue possibly? That's a possibility. Or do I want a darker blue? And do I want to add orangey colours or brown colours to it? I'm going to keep the background just one colour because I think that's what works. So the other thing, what I've done is I've just cut out some little shapes of what I'm kind of saying, it's kind of ivy leaf shape, kind of. So these are little splodgy bits that I thought I would add on, and I think, I'm not sure if I like the brown, I'm not sure, but perhaps if I put this blue in and we mix up the leaves, we might do it like that. I'm just thinking whether to do this very dark blue or whether I want the lighter, slightly lighter blue. Choices, choices, choices. So anyway, we'll go over to my sewing machine, I'll make a choice and we'll do some stitching and see where this goes. Okay, so you can see I've made a little start, and I'm just thinking that actually they kind of have a stalk that's like that, don't they, Ivy? So we'll do it more like that, and I'm just going to come down with it. I'm just making this up as I go along, you know. This is completely out of my head. And it may work and it may not, it may be dreadful. So I'm just going to do another one of those over here. Oops. In fact, some of the ivy was actually in flower, wasn't it? So I might just do one that's in flower. Right, so this is what we've done there with a bit of stitching. This is very me messing about, and I'm learning a lot as I go by doing it, what order to do things in, you know, whether you should do the leaves first or the stalks first. So I've kind of just taken a risk, and I'm just going to mess around with some of these leaves now, and I'm not too concerned if they even go on top of some of the things I've got underneath. I'm not too worried. I've got two different shades of this sort of orangey colour that I'm putting on. I thought about using some of the darker colours and putting some dark colours on it, but I decided that was a bit too, possibly a bit too busy, possibly. But anyway, this is just a sample. I'm just messing about and we're just going to see what happens. You know, when you see the ivy in real life, you realise how sort of, you know, it's not tidy and orderly. Things are on top of each other. Somehow it works. So I'm just going to pop these on. And it might be something I would like to come back to. It might be something I would maybe next time put the leaves down first. I don't know. It's just all messing about. And we'll do another orangey one here. Cut out another little leaf here. I'm just really enjoying doing it. As I've said before, there's no outcome required. I am just messing about and seeing what happens. So I'm going to stitch these on and see what it looks like. So I've just got a simple copper coloured thread in and I've pinned these little leaves on. I'm just going to go for it. A bit of free machine embroidery. So what I thought I'd try as well is I might just try filling these in a little bit and see whether that makes any difference. Just adding some of the copper coloured thread to the stalks. Okay, so this is my little panel here now that I've stitched. Just let you have a little look at that. You can see I've done all sorts of different colourways and kinds of stitching, particularly on these little flowers. I've left some of them sort of open and outlined. I've done some in blue, and I've done some in blue and then filled them in with the sort of rusty colour. I've got two colours of leaves going on, which are the same sort of tonal quality, but one's darker and one's lighter. And I just really was experimenting to see what I liked, particularly do I like it with the flowers kind of open? You can see they've got little like stamens coming off them. Do I like them in the blue? Do I like them in the orangey colour, the rusty colour? You know, do I like the two tones of leaves? Do I like the way that? Yes, I do. You know, it's just interesting what's come out and how I've experimented as I've gone along. And this is the lovely thing about doing a sample. So the whole point is you experiment and you see what works for you. And I'm a dab hand at making a small sample do a lot of work for me, if you like, so I can see what I prefer, whether I like all of it or whether I like some of it, and which bits, you know, would be useful if I was going to make a bigger panel, say, or use these sort of techniques and in another piece. So I also did some leaf outlines here. I'm not so sure about those. I don't think they add anything to the mix. It was also about what order I did things in really was quite important. You know, putting the leaves down or doing the stalks first. That was quite a dilemma. So I think what I'm going to do next is do a blue background and a different colorway and see what comes from that and what I like. I've learnt a lot from doing this, and that's the whole purpose of a sample. It's exploring, it's being curious and saying, what if I do this, what if I do that, what will it look like? Look, see, it looks quite nice when you put a frame on it. And what I like how when you frame it up, it's not all in the middle, because I've made a bigger piece than the size of the frame. It's really important, I think, to do this so that your picture kind of goes off the edges and you're just framing up a portion of it. Anyway, so let's do some more fabric and some more stitching, because I'm loving doing this. Okay, so I'm trying to choose the colours I'm going to use here. I've chosen to use the same colour of leaves as on the other piece, and I'm just wondering whether for the flowery bits, the stems, whether I want to use this yellowy colour, or this is a really nice bright vibrant shade, the orange, or whether I'm actually going to use this. This is again a slightly thicker thread. Ooh, I like the way that pops. I think we might use this and then see what else was going to come. I think we'll put those to one side for now, and we'll do some stalky stemmy bits with some of this and see where that takes us. Okay, so okay, you can see I've actually changed my mind. I've gone for the slightly lighter of the oranges. I've not used that one yet. I just decided I wanted these to be really kind of simple and standing out. So I'm doing them with the open flowers, and I'm just going to see where that takes me. So this is what it looks like now I've pinned the leaves in place. I've done a little bit of stitching with the very bright light coloured orange, and we're just going to see what happens next. Right, so that is my second sample done, and I don't know what you make of that. I've learnt a lot, I've explored and experimented, I did some orange and then I put some blue over the top of there, because I felt if I just did the orange it just disappeared, but by outlining part of it in that blue, it just gives that sort of slightly 3D quality to it, as though we have got layers of things going on. I did a little one up here with no stalk on it, because sometimes you're just aware of these flowers and, you know, there's leaves and all these other things going on. It's such a busy thing, the ivy plant, seemingly. And some of them are coloured in and some of them I've left open. And as I say, some are orange, some are the paler orange. But I really quite like that. I think it's got a lot of drama to it. And if I put the little doodah on top, you can start to see again that would frame up quite nicely. I think it's got enough going on in it without being over. It needs a nice big frame around it because it is quite busy, but I think that would be quite nice framed up, wouldn't it? So let's put it together. Let's put the two of them side by side and go, wow, they're so different, aren't they? Isn't it incredible? Same sort of colours, but because we've done this very dark and then this lighter colour, they're just really quite different. I'd love to know if you have a preference, whether you just like them both equally, or whether this one gets your vote, or whether you prefer this slightly more dramatic one over here. I think the next thing I'd quite like to do actually is use like blue leaves on here and do more with this one. And that's the whole thing. Once you start experimenting, when you just start sampling, you can go, well, what if I did this next time? What if I did that next time? What if I add this in? It's been a fun thing to do, and I hope you've enjoyed the process with me. As I say, let me know which one you prefer, and who knows what we're going to be doing next week, whether we're going to do a bit more of this or whether we're ready to do something different. I don't know. It all depends on how I'm feeling and what's in the air, what's in the atmosphere. So I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for joining me here. It makes it so worthwhile that I get to show you these things, and you can tell me what you think about it. Let me know. Oh, hang on. Let's just show you the backs just a minute before we finish. Let's just show you the backs. Look, there we go. Messy as anything, but again, what a lovely, lively thing on the back. There we go. Let's just do that. So let me know which ones, as I say, you prefer, the yellow one or the blue one. And we will see what's going to happen next time when we're here in my studio again. Thank you so much for joining me here. I will say goodbye for now. Ba ba da ba da ba da ba ba.